like I said earlier, we're going to do things a smidgen backwards. This week, we're going to talk about the return of the King. Next week, we are actually going to dig into the birth of Jesus Christ. As we finish up our Advent series, the Advent of Christ Then and Now, we tackle this week the return of the King. Next week, we're going to tackle the birth. And the next sermon series is actually titled Behind the Scenes. Remember we did the behind the scenes last year, like 3 or 4 weeks leading up to Easter? Well, this next sermon series is actually going to lead from Christmas to Easter. And it is going to be from birth to crucifixion of the life of Jesus Christ. And we are going behind the scenes to look at all of the events in Jesus' life and dig into the scriptures and go behind the scenes just a little bit. Next week is going to bode just a little bit interesting because we actually go behind the scenes in the birth, and we might shed a little bit of light on some of the circumstances around the birth that maybe we just assumed to be true and maybe not necessarily so much true. You see, when Christ came to earth the first time, he brought loads of gifts with him. He brought hope, peace, joy, love, mercy, grace, forgiveness. But the gift that he gave that was the most important was himself. He was the most important gift he gave. The little baby who we think of in the manger came in just so innocently. But yet 33 years later, that same innocent little baby left this world just as innocent as he came. Nary a sin committed, innocent as a lamb. Blood shed, body broken for the sins of you and me. And now, we await the return of the King. For those who are J.R.R. Tolkien fans, yes, that is a nod to the Lord of the Rings. If you've never read the books, read them. You will find all kinds of biblical in those books. The Return of the King is no exception. You see, the Return of the King, if you're not a Lord of the Rings kind of person, if you've never read the books, let me give you a little synopsis. A long time ago, this big bad guy named Saruman, kind of a play on the devil, okay, created this ring and gave rings to men, elves, and all these different kingdoms of the earth in order to control all of them. And he made one ring that was his ring that controlled all of them, okay? Well, things went sour. Saruman was killed. One of the king of men, this line of kings, was destroyed. Thought, was lost forever. There was a prophecy that says that the king will return. And this king, in the last of the 3 books, is the Return of the King. The king's called Aragorn. And the parallels of his rise back to the kingdom, I was thinking this week on that, and it's like, it is uncanny. I mean, Tolkien got it straight out of the Bible is what he got it from. Okay? And, the king comes, he with this ghostly army, destroys the army that's opposed to him in one fell swoop. I mean, just like that, he's gone. They go, they defeat the big bad guy once and for all, and the king reigns. Sounds biblical to me. But see, the Lord of the Rings is just a book. You see, the Bible is what's true. We had a king. We had a line of kings, as we were saying during communion this morning. We had a line of kings, human kings. We had good kings and bad kings. Jesus came, and who was our king, the true king, and he ascended into heaven 2 millennia ago, 2,000 years. And yet he's going to come again to usher in an era of peace. And upon that era, there will be no end. Once he ushers this in, there's going to be no end to this kingdom. Okay? The first time Christ came as a child, he came as innocent as a tiny baby in the humblest of circumstances. My goodness, he came in a feeding trough. I love the song Silent Night. But I hate to tell you, anybody who's been in a barn knows that it's anything but silent. And it doesn't, and it stinks. It doesn't smell too good either. You know? He came in humble circumstances. The first people that the angels went to, they didn't go to the kings and the counselors. Who did they go to? They went to the lowest people in society, the shepherds. They went to the outcasts first. I do believe Jesus said somewhere in one of the Gospels, he says, I did not come to save the righteous, but I came to seek what was lost. I came to save the sinners. When he left, he had been scorned, abandoned, shamed, crucified, died, risen, but yet still innocent. He claimed his victory over death, and he rose and ascended into heaven, and he made a promise that he was coming back. And lo, I will be with you to the very end of the age. The angels in Acts say, why are you standing here weeping? He's going to come the same way you saw him leave. Anybody that says that they are Jesus Christ in the second coming, unless he's descended on clouds on Mount Olives, that's not him. I'm just saying, that's how we know if it's truly him or not. Chapter 13 of Mark is one of the things, it's one of the markers that we have of the signs of the end of the age. I'm not going to read all of chapter 13, but a little synopsis of it is, they're talking about the temple, and these, Jesus says, I tell you the truth, that there's not going to be one of these that's going to be left standing on one another. You see, Mark 13, he describes what it's going to be like in the last days, leading up to his return. The temple was destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans. That was the beginning. And ever since then, there have been loads of people who have swore that the end of the world is coming, that Jesus is coming soon. Yeah, it's been 2,000 years. I'm going to sit here and tell you, it's coming. You want to know why? Because I can read chapter 13 here and I know the signs of the times. Kingdoms will rise up against each other. Earthquakes, famines, disasters. We've kind of got that going on, had that going on for 2,000 years, and it's only been getting worse. It's only gotten worse as time goes on. So yeah, time, is he going to come tomorrow? I don't know. Probably not tomorrow, because there's some things that have to happen first. But we know the signs of the times. He talks about how the abomination of desolation, how the devil and the Antichrist are going to come and set his image up on the temple for worship. And he tells the elect to go and hide in the hills and the mountains during that time. Talks about the tribulation. He talks about all the false Christs that are going to come and try and claim that they're Jesus. He's going to talk about how the sun and the moon are going to be darkened. And he talks about all of these astronomical effects that are going to happen in the last days. Talks about the fig tree and knowing, you know when a fruit tree, anybody got a fruit tree? Anybody got like a cherry tree, an apple tree, pear tree? No. I know somebody does here. Karen has a peach tree. Karen Kimball. When you get a fruit tree, you know when the fruit's getting ripe, right? You can look at the tree and you see these apples start out, and the apples are really, really small, and you watch them grow and grow and grow, and the branches hang down further and further, and you know when the time is getting ripe, right? Those apples are just about ready to pick. So it's going to be with the Son of Man. You're going to know when the time is near. He compares it to a fig tree. And then he goes on in verse 32 and says this. But of that day or hour, no one knows, but not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but the Father alone. Take heed, keep on alert, for you do not know when the appointed time will come. It is like a man away on a journey who, upon leaving his house and putting his slaves in charge, assigning each one his task, also commanded the doorkeeper to stay on the alert. Therefore, be on the alert, for you do not know when the master of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or in the morning, in case he should come suddenly and find you asleep. What I say to you, I say to all. Be on the alert. My friends, we already know that no one knows the day or the hour. We say it all the time. You know, when somebody says, you know, when somebody goes on and they talk about how, you know, the Mayan prophecy 12/21/12, the world was supposed to end, the Mayan calendar ends, and oh, the world's coming to end on the 21st. I mean, the world was, you know, there were people in mass hysteria. I remember I was working. Oh my gosh, I was working at Huddle House as a cook, and we had a whole bunch of you know, high school girls that were that waited tables. And, you know, at this point, I'm in school for ministry, and they know this. And they, you know, it was they were freaking out. It was like it was like 2009, 2010. They were legitimate. You could see the fear in their eyes. They were scared half to death that the world was going to end on 12/21/12. And when we were talking about it, I would just, I kind of do one of those kind of scoffing bits, you know, and kind of chuckle. And they're like, you're seriously not worried about it? I'm like, no, I'm not worried about it. It's not going to happen. I said, anybody gives you a date for the end of the world, I can guarantee you that's not when it's going to happen. It might happen the day before, the day after, but it's not going to happen that day. Well, how do you know that? Because I've read the Bible. You know, and they were absolutely astounded at the fact that I wasn't worried about it. No, I'm not worried about it. Of course not. So what do we do until no man knows the day or the hour? When people pop up, we always say that. Nobody knows the day or the hour. Not even the Son, but the Father in heaven. 4 times in this passage, what do? We are told to watch. We are told to keep watch. We're told to be alert. We're told to be on guard. In multiple different forms. 4 times we're told. In a matter of 5 verses. To be on alert. To be on guard. To watch. To keep watch. You see, Christmas is the time of the year that we take to celebrate the greatest gift ever given to mankind. But one of the things we absolutely unequivocally fail to realize is that this is a time to reflect on our watchfulness. This is a time to reflect on all of this stuff. You see, Christmas is the time of year we celebrate the greatest gift to mankind and his imminent return. Bless you. Jesus, when he came, brought an era of grace and mercy in a time when humankind needed it the most. We needed it the most when he brought it. God's timing is always perfect. Bless you. My goodness. This time of year is the time to take stock of your faith in Jesus. This time of year is the time to take stock of your dedication and your obedience to him. This time of year is time to take stock of your watchfulness for his second advent. I cannot emphasize that point enough. This is the time of year to evaluate your dedication, your obedience, your faith, and your watchfulness for his second coming. We don't know the day or the hour that he's coming, but we should always be ready, like he's going to come that very next minute. You see, a lot of people scoff, especially unbelievers and atheists. They scoff at us because we seem foolish. He said he was coming back. It's been 2,000 years. He's not coming back, they say. My response to that is, he wants all men to be saved, even them. He's given, this is nothing but grace and mercy. He's delaying in coming because he wants all men to come to himself. That's why he hasn't come yet. He wants all men to come to him. And it's our duty as Christians to live that example. Not just talk the talk, but to walk the walk. I found a poem several years ago. This poem is called If Next Sunday. I don't know who the author is. The author is just simply anonymous. The poem says, if Christ should come next Sunday, and it may be that he will, would the thing that I'll be doing set the Master's heart athrill? If the Christ should come next Sunday, would he find me loyal and true? In my place, would he find, in my place, with my influence, doing what he'd have me do? If the Christ should come next Sunday, let's suppose he came at 10, would he hear me answer present in the class I should attend? If the Christ should come next Sunday, if he came just at 11, would he find me in his service, singing praises unto heaven? It's a great little poem, but I want to expand it a little bit. Not just next Sunday. But what about Monday? Or Tuesday? Or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday? It's not just about what you're doing on Sunday morning. It's about what you're doing all the time. What if you were to come at supper time on a Wednesday evening? Would he find you doing the things that he's called you to do? You see, Christmas isn't about tinsel. Christmas isn't about Christmas trees or lights or Santa Claus. Christmas is not about elves or reindeer. My friends, Christmas is not even about the hustle and bustle of gift giving. Christmas isn't about any of these things. Christmas is about Jesus Christ. Christmas is about the best gift ever given by the God of the universe. He created it, we screwed it up, he remedied it. Wow. He even thought to cover our mistakes. Really? See, the best gift we can give this time of year is to share the gift of salvation that God gave. That's the best gift we can give, and sometimes the hardest thing to do, especially with family. Especially with family. We've all got a family member, or two or three, or multiple, that we'd love to see accept the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's okay to take a stand for the things we believe in, but is it pushing them away? Are we given the same grace and mercy, love, and acceptance that God gave us? God gave the gift of Jesus Christ. That's the faith, the love, the grace, mercy, hope, joy, and peace. Yeah, I want you to imagine a Christmas party. And at most Christmas parties, there's a gift exchange, isn't there? Most Christmas parties, there are these gift exchanges, and if you're like me, you've been a part of several of these gift exchanges, and you've gotten a bad gift. One year, we went to a gift exchange, and we got a coconut pirate.
I remember that.
Oh my God.
I did.
Yeah. This thing was hideous.
Okay.
It was awful. When you get that gift, and it's a gag gift too, by the way. That was the whole point. It's a gag gift. It's supposed to be ugly and hideous. I thought it was cool.
Oh my gosh, no.
Sherry and the girls didn't think it was quite so cool. I wanted to display it prominently in the house. I was proud of this thing. I loved it. It was great.
Freaking me out.
But what do you do when you get that hideous gift? Do you really turn it away?
No.
No, you don't. You take it and you put it away and maybe even regift it, right? Save it for a time when it might be useful. I don't know. Well, imagine a different Christmas party, if you will. And imagine this different Christmas party, there's a gift exchange, and this time, instead of maybe your employer being the host, maybe instead of a good friend being the host, God is the host of this Christmas party. And he doesn't ask you to bring the gifts, he is the one providing the gifts. And he hands you a gift, and you tear into it like a 3-year-old at Christmas time. You're ripping at the paper, and you're like, oh my gosh, what did God get me for? I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this. There's nothing better than seeing a 3-year-old unwrap a gift. I love it. You rip into it, you find this box, you open the box, and you find this note. And the note says, my dear child, I love you. So much so that I want to give you something very precious to me. I want you to have my son. He is my gift to you. He will provide forgiveness for your sins and allow a path to be opened for a relationship between us. Please accept my gift. Are you really going to turn that gift away? Free gift. Absolutely free of charge. Are you really going to turn it away? Are you going to take it and put it on a shelf for when it's useful? Right now, you may not think that that gift may be very useful. You question whether or not it could be put to use in your life. You wonder, on the fence about God. You're wondering if that gift of Christ might ever be useful in your life. I want to urge you to accept the gift. Make this Christmas the Christmas that you accept the gift of Jesus Christ. You might find later that it was the best decision you ever made. Most of you know my story. I was raised Catholic, raised in the church. Had faith as what I would say is the world determined it. But I had never owned my faith. Did never own it. It wasn't until Sherry came into my life and she had been recently baptized that she started to work on getting me back to church. God was something I always just kind of put on the back shelf. God was just something that I accepted the gift, but it was something that I had just saved for a future time because I wasn't really sure if that gift was something that was going to be very useful or not. And I look back now and look back through the process in 05 when we started going back, or 04 or 05 when we started going back to church, and God started nailing me down and convicting me and showing me his ways. I look back now, that's the best decision I ever made. I was a skeptic up to that point. I'll be the first one to tell you that it is a decision you will not regret. Ever. As quote, happy as I thought I was, I wasn't happy at all. I had every measure of success as the world would define it. I was 26 years old and I was a food and beverage director of a Holiday Inn. I was on my way to what they would call corporate success. By the time I am now, oh my gosh, I could have been in a Renaissance or a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons by now. But that's not success. Now, if God's put you there, that's one thing. There's nothing wrong with that. If God has put you in a certain place, in a success, even as the world would define it, if God has placed you there, you're there for a reason. But that's not where God wanted me to stay. God had other plans. What plans has he got for you? What has he got for you today? Are you on the fence? You questioning that gift? Let me tell you, you don't have to bear the burden that's on you today. That perfect gift is waiting for you. And my friends, to tie this back all over, tie this all back to the return of the King. The return of the King, our King, is imminent. Not in a Lord of the Rings style fashion. That's just a book. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, like the next guy. But I take the things of the world and I make them apply to the things of Jesus Christ, because that is where truth is found. The return of the King is imminent. Jesus Christ is going to come back. Are you ready? Are you ready? And that's a question that we seriously need to take in as we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ on this Christmas Eve morning. My friends, nobody knows the day or the hour that he is going to return, so that's the big idea. Watch and be alert. Again, I can leave it at that. Watch and be alert. That's all that needs to be said. No one knows the day or hour of Christ's return, so all the more important to dedicate your life and follow his lead. We talk all the time, about dedicating our life to Jesus. But I'll be the first to tell you, as somebody who has been undertaking this path now for 12, almost 13 years. It's difficult to keep them in the driver's seat. It's a daily battle. I mean, it really is. To make yourself submit to him and not follow your will, but his. I want you to be ready. Next year, we are gonna solely look at the details of his return. We are gonna take Matthew 24 to 26, and we are going to dissect this into what the next coming will look like specifically. As for right now, I want you to take this Christmas Eve, this Christmas season, and I want you to reflect on your walk. Start back where you came to Christ for the first time. Remember that fire and that passion that you had. Allow that fire to be rekindled. If you would, we're going to sing a hymn of invitation, which is going to be on the board. If you want the words, it's going to be number 182. Good Christian Men Rejoice is the song we're going to sing. It's a little peppy, a little upbeat. But this is a time of celebration. Our Savior has been born. We are expecting his return. Stand and sing with me as we sing this classic hymn.